All music is the same. It's just a new set of lyrics and a new backbeat.
All right, well, John, thanks a lot for having a chat today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, AndreGraziadei here for the Backbeat Experience, having a chat with John Lawhon. How do you pronounce your last name?
Lawhon.
Lawhon.
Yep.
Okay, well, where does that stem from?
Let's see. I believe it's actually a French name,
Uh-huh.
but it went through a few transformations in spelling over the years. I'm not really sure, to be perfectly honest. I'm just a good old-fashioned American mutt. All I can tell you is I'm predominantly Italian,
Yeah.
a little bit of French, and American Indian.
Okay.
That's about all I know.
Well, it's an interesting mix.
Yeah.
All right, the chemistry that you guys, you play together as individuals, you know, the dynamic, the familiarity that you guys have known each other for so long, why exactly does it work?
I don't know, to be perfectly honest. John, Fred, Chris, and I were all in drumline together in school, so like marching band kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why we're so tight. Because long before we were Blackstone Cherry, the three of us were playing drums together. And when you're playing drums together, there is no hanging note like a guitar. You're not allowed to be sloppy at all. Everybody has to hit exactly at the same time because it's percussive. If anybody's hitting at the wrong time, it sounds like a flam instead of a unison hit. So I think that's the reason why we're as tight as we are musically. Aside from that, you know, we've always tried to make sure we show just as much attention to our friendship as we do our music. So we would get out of school at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we would all be at the practice house rehearsing by 3:10. And we would rehearse and hang out until 10 o'clock at night. Then we'd go home and sleep and go back to school the next day and do it all over again.
Right.
So you're talking Monday through Friday, that's what we did. Saturday we would show up down at the practice house at like 10 o'clock, and we'd rehearse all day long. Rehearsing cover songs for writing new material and all that. And Saturday night we might actually go out and do something, but we're still all together.
Uh-huh. So that, I suppose that just fuses you guys together.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, we've got buddies back home in other bands, and you know, we've jammed with other people and all that stuff, but you know, it's almost like when the four of us are on stage, if John Fred goes to do something that's off the cuff that he's never done before, it's like the rest of us are psychic enough to figure out where he's going and to make it work. You know, just because we've been playing music together for so long. If I'm playing with another drummer, it doesn't quite work that way. If he's going somewhere, I'm like, what are you doing right now?
Okay.
You know, I just kind of follow along a little bit more. But with John Fred, I don't hardly ever have to turn around.
So there's a symbiosis there between the four of you.
Yeah.
Amazing. Writing, well, you just mentioned writing the first album. You guys were writing material way back then. But writing and recording, since the first album, this is now the fourth, how has the writing progressed? I know that you guys have written the highest share of the songs yourselves this time. Was it pretty much a little bit that for the first album? You know, now it's progressed. It's now you guys just full time.
The first record, we wrote quite a bit of it on our own, and quite a bit of it with John Fred's dad, Richard.
Right.
And it was, you know, we were kids, so it was a big learning experience, and Richard was kind of showing us the ropes as we went. The second record, we did a lot of co-writing with the producer, Bob. He was a phenomenal songwriter, great producer. He's a great guy. We still call him Uncle Badger Bob. Third record, we branched out and started doing a lot of co-writes with outside writers.
That was almost a surf album, wasn't it?
Kinda,
California,
yeah. That was the first time we had recorded out of the Midwest South before, and yeah, we went to California and recorded. We wrote some in California with a guy named Dave Bassett. We wrote with Zach Malloy and a long list of songwriters, and we made friends with quite a few of them. We've gone back and done other songwriting with them, like I wrote a song with a buddy that we made during that endeavor with a buddy named Blair Daly. Brought the song back, showed it to Chris, recorded it at Chris's house. He came up with a few guitar parts for it, so we cut him in on it, and then Leonard Skinner ended up picking up the song. It's called Life's Twisted on their last record. John, Fred, and Ben went down and wrote with Florida Georgia Line, which kind of bred the relationship that brought them to covering our song Stay.
Right.
And they had a #1 country hit with it last year. Had 4 weeks #1 with that song. And then, let's see, they wrote another song with a writing duo in Nashville called the Warren Brothers. And it ended up turning into a song on our record. Follow was in Kentucky. Chris and I had listened to it, and we were like, this is a great song, we just need to cut it.
Okay.
And we kind of put our influences on it and all that, and kind of changed it as we went.
Right.
And it came out great, and we put it on our record. So, I mean, co-writing is something that, you know, it's mainly just for fun, because there's a couple songs on the new record we did with Dave Bassett. We wrote another song with Richard. First time I've written with him for a long while now. But the majority of this record is just the four of us sitting in a room, getting into fights and arguing and making sure that everything works out the way we wanted it to.
Yeah, well, that said, you guys share the credit 4 ways. I think of Lennon and McCartney from the Beatles, it was mostly them doing the bulk of the writing, and the other 2 members were kind of like, you know...
Can't discredit George Harrison, though.
No, not at all.
He wrote something.
Exactly, but as far as the bulk of the Beatles' music, how is it with you guys? Do you guys share equal credit?
Yeah, 100% equal.
That's, you know, that's
From
like...
day one, we've been that way.
You don't see that very much.
Well, it helps because nobody's ego gets in the way at that point.
Right.
You know, nothing's ever considered finished until all 4 band members have had their say with it. You know, and... it's not uncommon for somebody to be like, hey, I got this song and I think it's great, and play it, and the other 3 dudes are like, cool, and get out the scissors and cut all this crap out of it and put a bunch of other stuff in it. I mean, that happens all the time. And the way we write it's really bizarre, because a lot of people have like a certain way that they write songs. That's how they always write songs and always will. Right. Where they're like, okay, well, I've got this lyrical idea. And then from that idea, they'll try to write something musically that feels like that idea. And then it all just kind of pans out in this particular formulated kind of way. We're completely different. We're like, I've got a cool riff. This sounds great, right? Yeah, we all like this riff. Okay. What sounds right melodically over it? Okay, that's a cool melody. I like that melody. Let's try to merge those things together. And I mean, it's never the same. Somebody might be like, I've got this great line that I think would be killer for a chorus. Somebody's like, I've got this riff. I've got this melody. It all starts different ways and always ends different ways, but it always ends up like some cherry.
It's like playing Scrabble, just get all the pieces together.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Well, you guys this time went into the studio. I think you were more or less doing the old school approach, where you all played your instruments at the same time. You don't really see that much these days.
No.
Everybody's, you know, Pro Tool this and whatever else.
Right. We recorded this record to 2-inch tape. First time we recorded the tape ever, and we were really pleased with the outcome, because everything sounds so much better on 2-inch. It just has this... well, technically, it's called second and third harmonic distortion. Like with digital synths, when you're looking at like a VU meter, when you start to hit the red, you start hearing digital distortion. So it's this really this nasty sounding thing. But if it's more analog, an organic sound, you hit red, all of a sudden you start getting these natural, warm, like tube sounding distortions that are really pleasing to the ear. So slamming red is great. You don't want to stay in red, but when you slam into the red every now and then, it gives it this extra color and sheen that's way different than anything you can get digitally.
Cool.
So I don't think we'll ever record just straight.
So now, now it's like you guys are going old school from here on.
Yeah.
So you guys have worked and done the materials and so on. 4th album, could it be a point in time where you guys produce your own stuff?
Possibly. We actually, we were kind of kicking that idea around for this record.
Right.
And the label was pretty much on board. So was our management, all that. Everybody was like, yeah, it's a pretty good idea. And then all of a sudden, kind of out in left field, Joe Barisi kind of raised his hand and said, hey guys, I'd like to work with you. And we were like, okay. And we kind of looked through the stuff that he had done, and we talked to him and kind of figured out his formula, the way he does things. And he's a very... like passive producer. He's not the guy that, you know, like tears you down and builds you up in his own image kind of thing. He's not a drill sergeant by any means. He'll listen to the song and he'll like, why don't you try maybe extending this section? And why don't you try maybe going to something different here? Stuff like that, and just jam it for a little while and see how it feels. You know, and he just never was the tyrant kind of producer like a lot of them kind of tend to be, where they tell you what you can and can't do. He was just like, why don't you try this? And sometimes it wouldn't work, and we would stick to what we had, and he was cool with it. But a lot of times, whatever he'd come up with, as far as like extend this part out, make it longer, maybe add a different piece of music here, it panned out.
So he was giving you free reign.
Exactly.
Great.
It felt more like we were producing the record with a buddy of ours.
Fantastic. So I saw that Chris was openly talking about his personal problems. Was that part of a catharsis for him to come clean with that or clear with that? I mean, you know, to lay his soul bare to anybody or everybody.
Yeah.
I was surprised.
I think the big thing with Chris and like letting people know what was going on with him and all that. Chris isn't really the kind of person to lie to anybody or to hide from anything. He just kind of hits it head on and deals with it the best that he can. You know, so I think that was just Chris's natural way of reacting to what was going on with him. He didn't want to just, you know, like if you look at footage from Download in 2011,
That was in Donington, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just remember the footage. Chris was wearing a blue like beanie and sunglasses, and the reason why he had his sunglasses on for the majority of the show is because his eyes were so glassed over from where he was taking Xanax. He had to because of his anxiety.
Okay.
And he didn't want anybody to see his eyes because he looked like a zombie. And there are a couple scenes where he pulls his sunglasses off and he puts them back on and all that. He was in a really bad place. It was a difficult time for our band. We came very close to splitting up many times.
Right.
It wasn't until after the album cycle for the third record. We took like 3 or 4 months and we literally just scattered like rats.
Okay.
And we got back together. We went and ate at our kind of like the band's favorite restaurant. It's a place called Los Mariachis in Glasgow, Kentucky. It's a Mexican joint. They've got this like private like party room in the back, and anytime they see all 4 of us come in there, they let us go back there. So you know, it's just us. We kind of will have our meal and hang out or whatever. And there's people there that are really cool. We've been eating there for, literally like 15 years. Anyways, we all went back there, just the 4 of us, and they closed the doors for us. We sat there and we were eating, and it was just us. And we had this long, drawn-out, intimate conversation about where we were, what we were going to do, and all that. And, I mean, there were tears, there was anger, there was all kind of stuff going on.
So this has brought you guys closer together.
Yeah. At the end, we just all kind of looked at each other as like, are we going to move forward? And thankfully, we all unanimously said, yeah, let's do this. Let's figure it out, but we got to do it on our terms. It's the only way that it's going to work for Chris's mental state and really all of us mentally, because Chris was the one that was showing the most fatigue through everything that we've gone through. But I mean, his mental state obviously affected all of us greatly. Probably me, honestly, the least, because I've dealt with depression myself. I've dealt with it from my, people in my family and all that. So I kind of saw the signs before he ever said anything. I saw what was going on. I was just really hoping and praying that he'd kind of figure it out on his own before it blew up in anything. But unfortunately, it did blow up, and it is what it is. Him and John Fred butted heads a few times. Him and Ben butted heads a few times. He and I almost butted heads a few times, but I just kind of fell out of it.
Right. All right. Great. Okay, so as far as
we're gonna let Frank come through here so he can go to bed.
Go ahead,
buddy.
Have a nice night's sleep, I guess, or whatever. Influences. I've heard that you guys, Bad Company was sort of an influence on you guys. Oh, thanks. And I know that Joe Bonamassa, Bad Company, was a big influence on him.
Yeah.
The guitarist. Would you guys ever consider putting, maybe introducing a blues track into your music?
We used to cover Muddy Waters. It was kind of a cover. It was Hoochie Coochie Man and Managed Boy. Kind of a medley of sorts. But it was obviously done our way, just very heavy.
Well, if you're going to do anything, cover it and, make it your own.
Make it your own. Yeah, like, just kind of like we did with Shapes of Things on the first record and the Marshall Tucker song on the third record. We reinvent. If we're going to cover something, we're going to kind of make it our own and do it our own way. But yeah, blues has always been a big part of who we are. Like our guitar tech, Jake, he is normally Lamb of God's guy. He techs for Lamb of God. But they're not touring right now, so we kind of stole him for the time being.
Okay.
We were talking to him last night, and he said, he said, whenever I tell somebody about you guys, that I always tell them that you guys are like a heavy blues rock band.
Okay.
Because we are, ultimately. I mean, everything Chris sings is in that blues box.
Right.
You know, and his guitar playing is very blues. John Fred was raised with blues, so was I. Ben has always been like more Aerosmith, Elvis. Like those two things have always been like the biggest thing to him. But yeah, blues has always been kind of a backbone of ours. John Fred's dad is Richard from the Headhunters.
Right.
They're a southern rock band / country band / folk band / blues band.
A southern band.
Yeah, they've got all kinds of blues and southern roots to them, and it's obviously it's in the water.
Right.
You know, we've got quite a bit of that. We never tried to be a southern rock band. We've never tried to be a metal band or anything like that. We've just always written what we consider to be good. In many parts of the world, if you go into a record store, you'll find our album in the metal section. Other parts, you'll find it in the rock section. Sometimes you'll find it in the pop rock section, which is really confusing to me. You know, there are no boundaries, really, for us. At least I don't see that there are. There doesn't need to be. I mean, yeah, we were very heavy a lot of the time.
I find you're a little heavier on this album, too.
Yeah, because we had freedom. This record was more of us wanting to be ourselves and try to capture as much of our live energy as we possibly could for a record.
Right.
I think that's the reason why it came off heavier than anything else, especially heavier than the third record, because, I mean, let's be honest, the third record was so many co-writes, and our record label was so heavy-handed, and we have to get this to work at American radio and all that, all the while
It was a West Coast album.
Yeah, all the while we're going, who freaking cares about American radio?
Exactly.
Nobody cares. It's all watered down, sounds exactly the same anyways. We don't want to
You
sound
guys
like
made it
everybody
here
else.
before you made it there anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll continue to grow here, more so than there. So, whatever. I would rather be the biggest band in the world as opposed to the biggest band in America.
Right.
Because America's cool and all, it is the biggest music market, but if you compare it to the rest of the freaking world, I'd rather have the rest of the world.
I'll second you on that one. So, you guys did cruises, a couple already.
Yeah.
What are the advantages and disadvantages?
The advantage is it's a very intimate experience with the crowd, because before and after the show, you are hanging out with fans.
You can't get away from them.
No, there's no escape, and I'm not saying that there needs to be,
No.
but the only time you're away from the fans is when you go to your room. You know, if you go up to eat, you're surrounded by fans.
Okay.
You go out to the pool deck, you're surrounded by fans.
So
you get in
with-
a hot tub or to the beach or
Would that-
whatever.
Would that count as a disadvantage?
Not really.
No?
I don't-
Okay.
I don't
Is there any disadvantage at all?
The disadvantage is 90% of the time you're playing on backline gear, so it's like rented gear.
Okay.
So you really don't know what the hell you're getting into until you walk on stage. You're like, oh crap, this isn't what I'm used to.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll accept that one. So, Remember Me. That was based on Chris's grandfather.
Yep.
Now, I understand he was a good guitar player, but he also played very good harmonica.
Oh, his grandfather?
Yeah.
I'll be perfectly honest with you. You need to ask Chris about all that.
Okay. So I was just wondering if I consider harmonica, would that be something you might want to introduce into BSC's music?
John Fred actually plays harmonica. He's not the greatest in the world at it, but he's.
But
decent.
there's none of it on any of your
Yeah,
records.
there is.
There is?
The key. On the second
I'll
album.
take that back. Okay.
Yeah, there's a harmonica section. There's a harmonica solo in that song.
I'll have to go back and listen to that.
Yeah, it's on the key.
Okay.
Whenever everything breaks down, I'm playing a wash tub bass. I took a broom handle and
Okay.
cut a notch in it to where it set on the end of a
Cool.
wash tub.
Right.
Drilled a hole through the top of it, tied a piece of nylon rope to it after I had pulled it through a center hole in the wash tub and tied knots in it with washers and all that so it wouldn't come through the hole.
Right.
And you just slide your hand down with rope and broom handle, notch it, and then lean it back.
Mhm.
And Bob, the producer of the record, would play the note for me that I needed it to be, and I'd pull it back until I found the right tension. And then I held it, hit record. Dum, dum, dum,
Cool.
dum, 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 dum. It was a nightmare.
But that's
Gotta play that.
that's the typical southern thing you see with a wash tub, anyways.
Yeah, we had wash tub bass, we had washboard, scratching,
Yeah.
harmonicas, banjos, all that kind of stuff on that song. That's still to this day one of my favorite songs we've ever done because it was the most fun to record.
Well, I will definitely go back and listen to that.
The main riff in that song That was the first riff we ever wrote as a band.
Cool.
There was a little disc that we put out called Rock and Roll Tape long before we ever had a record deal or anything.
Is that the first thing you guys ever released?
Yes.
That pops up somewhere where people have paid like thousands for it?
Yeah, it's like 1,000 or 1,500 euros
right.
on eBay. Yeah. It's just a black cover, has a black and white photo on the back of it. The cover has a piece of literal like gray duct tape. It says Rock and Roll Tape in Sharpie on the duct tape. It's got the Blackstone Cherry name there, but the font used was like Nosferatu.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because we wanted to be a cool, scary, dark rock band. But yeah, that song was originally called Walkin'. And we went back and revisited that record. That record also has the very first version of Sunrise on it, which later became our Jamaican jam on the second record.
Okay. What would be the ultimate pinnacle of success for the band at this point in time? I mean, you guys could be around for another 30 years.
Well, that's our plan. The pinnacle at this point, we headlined the second stage at Download last summer. We came back as a surprise band this summer at Download, and the tent was supposed to hold like 10,000 people. We had like 20,000 people outside the tent trying to get in, trying to see. We had more people at the tent than they had at the main stage, second stage, because everybody was flocking over trying to see what was going on. We heard that Metallica had done that kind of thing, had done the surprise band and played one of the smaller stages and just, you know, shocked everybody because nobody expected it. And we were like, you know, that's a really cool idea. And the Download people were like, we'd love to have you back, but you headlined second stage last year. Do you guys have any ideas? We were like, let's secret band this thing. Don't tell anybody we're going to be there. And it was funny because we were, like, leading up to it, we were like, just come up with, like, a bogus band name.
So what were you guys called?
We were going to do Hell and High Water.
Right.
Because of the song. And then we found out there was actually a band called Hell and High Water.
No kidding.
Already. We had never heard it before.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it had anything to do with our song.
Right.
Or if they could have been around for 20 years before
Which
we
is,
came around.
by the way, a very good track anyways.
Oh, cool. Thank you. But yeah, we just showed up. It was crazy because we were all sitting backstage, and all of a sudden they started wheeling all our stuff out, and the backdrop went up, and you could just see the shock and awe on everybody's face.
Was your backdrop there?
Yeah.
Okay. The band's backdrop was
as
there.
they hung it,
right.
The crowd went nuts. They pulled the lids off the guitar cabinets because we've got those custom guitar cabs and all that.
Right.
And they saw the cherry with the crown and the cigar, and everybody lost their shit. It was awesome.
Fantastic. So you guys are doing a benefit show back home, which is at this point, what, almost sold out?
Yeah, the first night sold out already. We're getting ready to add a second night.
So what's the story behind that as far as the benefit's concerned?
We always try to do something, not necessarily every year, but it's kind of like a semi-annual. We do it like every other year.
Okay.
And we pick different charities. A lot of times we'll do Toys for Tots and Boys and Girls Club of South Central Kentucky, which Toys for Tots is basically collecting toys for kids, for families that don't have money to buy toys for their kids on Christmas.
Right.
The Boys and Girls Club thing, it's providing food and clothes and school supplies for less fortunate families. This year we're doing the Boys and Girls Club because, yes, having toys on Christmas is, you know, it's the, you know, that magical Christmas thing.
Oh yeah,
and
as
all
a kid, of course.
But we feel it's more necessary to supply clothing and food. And, you know, you have to have clothing and
the
food.
Necessities of life.
Yeah, exactly. So, and we've never done any kind of, like, animal charity before, so we're doing a charity, it's called BRAWA. It's the Barren River Animal Wellness Association, I believe is what it is.
Okay.
It's a big animal shelter. I've rescued a few animals from there.
Cool.
But this time we wanted to do something for animals as well, because we've never done that before. It's always been children-based, but we're still doing children as well. So it's cool. The plaza is like 1,180 seats, 1,200-ish, something like that. It's an old theater that they just restored probably 8 or 9 years ago, something like that. And, I mean, everybody plays there. Jamie Johnson, the Headhunters, of course. We've played there a couple times now. It's a very, very cool, just prestigious old theater. It's got a really cool vibe in it, and it's just a lot of fun doing those shows. Do you
when you play that, does it sort of give you this impression you're back in time? As far as the
Kinda,
feel?
yeah, it gives you that feel because it's got the big heavy curtains and all
Right.
that. The stage rounds out in the front. It's got the lights down in the front of the stage and all that. And the way it's built very acoustically to where you can, if you speak very loudly from the stage, people in the back row can hear you, kind of thing. So it's interesting when you bring in a full rock band with big PA and all that. It gets loud.
Well, that's an idea for your next video. Use it as sort of a nostalgic vintage kind of setting.
Yeah, well, we actually used it for photos for classic rock.
Oh, cool.
If you look at the, how many issues ago was it? I don't know, probably 5 or 6 issues ago. They put us on the cover and did a 10 or 11 page spread on us. But about half the photos we did for that issue were at the plaza. There's one photo of us. It was one of the main big pages in the thing. We were standing in front of the plaza, and they've got the big marquee that's like this, so you can put text on both sides, kind of deal, and people can see it driving both ways.
Cool.
They put on the marquee, they had the Plaza Theater welcomes Classic Rock Magazine and Blackstone Cherry. So they took that big photo, and it's a full page in the magazine. And there's shots of us in big red seats and all this stuff. It's a cool place.
Beauty. I read somewhere that someone stole, Ben's guitars, and
Yes.
how stupid can some people be?
I don't know. We still haven't found them yet. I'm sure you guys have typical storage facilities here where it's a fence and all kinds of little garages.
Oh, it's, what do they call them? Well, they have the garage wars.
Yeah, storage wars.
Storage wars.
Yeah. It's basically that. It's a big row of storage buildings,
Right.
and they just keep going back. But ours was closest to the main road because you bring a 45-foot bus and a 16-foot trailer, you can just kind of swing off the road a little bit and you're right there. Well, somebody figured out where we were at, and we were absolutely targeted because nobody else was broken into. They just crowbar snapped in, broke the lock off, rolled the door up, and they got away with 8 of Ben's guitars, cymbal vault or 2 of John Fred's, and 1966 Fender Bassman amp head.
Ouch.
From Chris. Sucks for Ben the most financially because it's $25,000 or $35,000 worth of guitars.
Right.
But it sucks for Chris emotionally because that head was given to him by his grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like a family heirloom kind
Right.
of deal. He still has the cabinet. It was a 212 cab in the head, but the head's gone. So hopefully somebody will get stupid and decide to
Fence it.
sell it, eBay it,
Right.
pawn it, something, and they'll get caught, and we'll be able to figure out where the amp head and all the guitars and cymbals and all that went.
Well,
But nothing as of right now.
I really hope that turns out well for you guys.
Yeah, me too.
Because
I luckily didn't have anything stolen because we heard threats that somebody was planning on doing this a year and a half or 2 years ago. And after I heard that, I was like, okay. Everything that was mine that wasn't touring gear was gone.
Take
at
it
my
home.
house. Yep.
Smart move. You guys have toured now since what, 2006, 2008? If you've toured
2006.
in Germany.
In Germany, 2007.
So at this point, what's your favorite German food?
Ooh.
I know you guys had a field day at the Hofbrauhaus in Munich.
Yeah. We're all big fans of schnitzel.
Okay.
I'm a huge,
Which actually is Austrian.
really?
Yes.
Well, I'm a huge fan of currywurst.
Okay. That is from Berlin, apparently. So.
That came from Berlin?
Yes.
I love it. I think that's probably my personal favorite. Chris is a huge schnitzel fan.
Okay.
Anytime we come to Germany, he's like, "Where's schnitzel?" We were at we stopped at it was like a large truck stop, big gas station kind of thing, and it had a restaurant and bar and all kind of stuff involved with it. And I went in and I was looking at the menu and right next to each other, schnitzel and currywurst. I was like, I'll go currywurst. Currywurst and fries. I was happy.
Yeah. The best of both worlds. So, fourth album, would there be a consideration of a collaboration somehow, somewhere, a singer duet? I know that Chris was a big fan of, what's her name? I can't think of her name.
Adele?
No.
Oh, Kelly Clarkson.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was a big fan of hers.
Yeah.
And I suggested a couple of years ago that maybe you should, approach her about
cool.
a duet together.
We kind of keep going back and forth with the label. We're talking about the possibilities of doing a country EP for country music in the States.
Cool.
At which point the song sometimes on our record we're talking about maybe doing another version of it as a duet with, like, I don't know, Miranda Lambert or, you know, one of the cool country female artists. We did the, let's see, Won't Let Go on the third record. Lizzie Hale from Hailstorm sang the background vocals on that.
Okay.
So it's kind of a duet. She never sang any of the lead parts.
Right.
Yeah, I don't see why not. Chris just went and did a collaboration with Montgomery Gentry.
Okay.
He went to Nashville and sang on their record, and that sounds killer. I can't wait for that to come out. It's one of the coolest country rock songs I've heard.
That sounds interesting.
It's very cool. Yeah, because Montgomery Gentry is like very, you know, traditional country, like 90s country.
Right.
If you know what I mean when I say that.
Well, would that not be considered, what, new country?
Montgomery Gentry isn't really new country.
It's not Johnny Cash country.
No.
No, it's not Waylon Jennings.
No, it's more like 90s outlaw country, like original Toby Keith,
right?
Garth Brooks,
okay.
That kind of
right.
era of country. That's more what they are. They have, I mean, they fit in the modern country market just because they're smart enough to be able to go with the times. But they have that nostalgia about them. You know, anytime you hear a song by them, you know it's them, and you know who they are and when they came out and all that. So they don't kind of lump into everybody else. They still kind of stick out on their own. But yeah, that was cool because they're from Lexington, Kentucky, I believe. So it was cool having Chris do a duet with a country group that is also a Kentucky-based band. So I'm just looking forward to that one coming out. Because when I first heard it, I was like, holy crap, that sounds killer. Because he sings on the bridge, and he sings the harmonies on the chorus and all that. And, you know, Chris is an aggressive singer, and he can sing pretty friggin' high. For a big old dude, he can sing pretty high.
Right.
So he's singing all the high harmonies and stuff, and he's got a great, his voice is great in that range. So it's, like, very obvious that's Chris from Wax on Cherry whenever you hear him. You know, so whenever the song comes out, you'll have to check it out. It's really cool.
Cool. I don't know if they'll play it here I don't know, there's so many radio stations here that play country music, but
maybe some of the rock stations will pick it up because he's on it.
who knows? You know, of course, if I could get a hold of it, I'd play it. That's for sure. So, well, John, thanks a lot. Very interesting talk.
Absolutely.